You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Syracuse football this offseason had to replace 3 of its 5 starters along the offensive line a year ago. Tackle Savion Washington, center John Ray Reed, and guard Jacob Bradford. The Orange also lost Cody Hornsby in the transfer portal. They lost Enrique Cruz in the portal, as well as David Woolaba, among others. Those were really the biggest ones that you have to be aware of. Syracuse has now added 5 players along the offensive line, and we'll go in order in which they happened, all right? You got Bama tackle Naquil Beatrand, Louisville guard Austin Collins, South Carolina tackle Cam Pringle, UNC guard Zach Rice, and Florida State guard T.J. Ferguson. Of those transfers, let's go over who Syracuse will probably start on opening day against Tennessee. Number 1, and I think this player is the most likely of the 5 to get a starting job, and it's Austin College, who will likely be Syracuse's starting right guard this upcoming season. The reason why I believe that Austin Collins is most likely going to be a starter for Syracuse is because he was a starter for Louisville last year at right guard. He is known as a very good pass blocker, less so as a run blocker. However, there is an outside chance with Austin Collins that he's not the starting right guard, he's the starting center this upcoming season, because according to Pro Football Focus, last year he played 25 snaps at the position. Right now, Syracuse's starting center is supposed to be Mark Petrie, but if Syracuse feels that Austin Collins might be better suited at center than Mark Petrie, then Petrie would then probably slide to right guard. Either way, Austin Collins likely finds himself on the starting 5 offensive line this upcoming season. Then you got T.J. Ferguson, who will also probably be a starter for Syracuse, at least in the beginning of the year. Because, well, he was a starter at Florida State, and the predicted position in my mind is left guard. That's where he played nearly 500 snaps for the Seminoles a year ago. I don't necessarily think he's a lock to start, especially because we ran through the Pro Football Focus numbers in the previous segment. He was not very good along the offensive line. But given that he has the experience and given what's behind him, I'd imagine that at minimum, he probably enters training camp as the starting guard, and it's really his job to lose. I should say starting left guard for that matter. So overall, of the transfers, the 2 most likely in my mind to start are Austin Collins and T.J. Ferguson. Someone else who I think could be in the starting lineup as well is Cam Pringle as the left tackle for Syracuse football. He was a redshirt freshman in 2024, but a 4-star recruit in that 2024 recruiting cycle. So there's a lot of upside with a guy like Cam Pringle because he's only been in college for 1 year. So there's still a lot of runway left in a guy like Pringle. Again, not necessarily a lock to start. I think it maybe is 50-50 on whether or not he is the starting left tackle for the Orange next year. There's also Travion Mack, who was the starting left tackle for the spring game. So it could be a battle at that position come camp time. And then you got the guys who are on the outside looking in, at least for now. In my opinion, I think Zach Rice from North Carolina, and he could probably play anywhere along the offensive line. He's played at guard. He was a tackle in high school. So pretty much anywhere along the offensive line. Maybe if he wants to see the field even more, he should learn how to play center, right? But he's a former 5-star tackle, played sparingly at right guard. UNC website says he played 16 snaps at the position in 2022. If Syracuse can get the most out of a guy like Zach Rice, then eventually he will be in the starting lineup because he's a 5-star talent in 2022. You get the most out of him, he's going to beat out someone along the offensive line. But at least for right now, I don't see him in that starting lineup. Maybe he beats out T.J. Ferguson, though, at some point either in the offseason or maybe at some point during the year. And finally, you got Naquil Beatrand, the Bama tackle. I think he's going to be a backup at this point. I think he's the least likely of the 5 transfers to start for Syracuse. He was behind Travion Mack at left tackle for the spring game. They also added Cam Pringle into the mix, and your right tackle is a returning player in Demetrius Witherspoon. So overall, with Niquil Beatrand, he also has some upside given that he's coming from Alabama, but I don't see him getting into that starting lineup, at least for opening day against Tennessee. So my full early offensive line prediction for Syracuse following all these additions and all these subtractions in the transfer portal or by players graduating is this. I think your left tackle will end up being Cam Pringle. Your left guard will end up being T.J. Ferguson. Your center, I still think, will be Mark Petrie. Your right guard is Austin Collins. And your right tackle is Demetrius Witherspoon.